Hello and welcome to France 24's weekly music show. I'm Jennifer Ben Brahim. Today, a punk rock lesson in making the political playful.
When I collect myself back to inexpensive sunglasses from the same place at the mall, I think of you.
Dismantling the patriarchy and railing against inequality. This is a musical manifesto of London-based trio Dream Wife. Now, their third album, Social Lubrication, came out this summer, and they're bringing their hyper-lusty rock and roll to the Paris edition of Pitchfork Festival this week. Welcome to the show, Raquel, Alice and Bella from Dream Wife. Thank you for being with us on France 24. The three of you actually met at university in the UK, and the concept of Dream Wife came as sort of an art school project. Can you tell us more? It sounds very Spinal Tap in the inspiration.
I mean, we were all studying different forms of art, and I think for us, music at that time, it felt like this really free place where we could just make something together, and it wasn't like this graded thing. And I think for all of us, it felt like this really fun, exciting project that felt like it was ours. And there was a kind of mutual support there as well, which I think has led us to this point today.
Our first show was at the art gallery of
Oh,
our
really?
uni. And we had about 2 half-finished songs.
Yeah.
But people seemed to really like it, so we continued.
Did you think it would become a full-fledged, musical project?
We had a really fun approach to Dream Wife. We've all been in bands previously, but there was some kind of synchronicity between us, both musically and allowing ourselves to be a bit free and silly and powerful and vulnerable at the same time. And we felt that amongst each other, that we could write with each other and explore parts of ourselves and parts of music and performance that we maybe hadn't necessarily done with other projects. So it felt right from the start.
Now, Dream Wife, what's the inspiration behind the name?
It's been a lot of different things over the years. Like, I think at the start it was like kind of playing around with this idea of like femininity and what role women play in society or something. But as we progressed over the years, it really speaks to the relationship between us, I think, more than anything. Like, a band is like a family, and we are married to each other, our instruments and the road.
Okay, that's a good source of inspiration for the name. Yeah. It's a nice kind of family unit. Now, your third album, as I mentioned at the beginning, just came out this summer. It's called Social Lubrication, and it's punk, really packed full of like political punch, but also razor sharp wit. And before we actually get into talking about the album, let's take a listen to one of the tracks called Hot, Don't Date a Musician.
Date a professor or a physician, just anyone besides a musician. Date a lifeguard or a mathematician, a mad scientist, carpenter, operator. You thought I was gonna say bartender, watch out. They might be a musician. Don't date a musician. Don't date a musician. They'll think you're competition.
So that was Hot, Don't Date a Musician from Dream Wife's latest album, Social Lubrication. Now, very sage advice, I have to say. What's the backstory to this song?
Well, essentially this song is making fun of us and everyone we know, everyone who's ever locked lips with us as well, and pretty much our whole community of music. So it speaks to, I guess, a wide range. But essentially it's, if you can't make fun of yourself, it's vital. And my grandma was quite influential as well in making of the lyrics of this song. Because she, at one point, recommended that I stop bringing over lovers or potential lovers that were musicians, because she wanted an electrician in the family or maybe a mathematician. But she's one to talk because she's been married to at least 2 musicians.
Well, maybe that's why she's, giving advice. Yeah. She's lived that life.
But it's funny too, because, I'm a musician, so, should I not be dateable?
Oh, okay.
Grandma?
That's a good question. Okay, we'll have to think about that one as well. Yeah. Now, so as I said before, it's not just razor sharp kind of with your wit, but there's also a lot of like political and social commentary in the album. What's the message you want to convey, and why do you think it's important to have a message for your music?
I mean, I think for us, when we were forming this group, like bands like, for instance, La Tigra, were majorly influential for us, because I think the way that they confuse like fun and politics, and it kind of creates this thing that is in itself political, because it's like the act of being at a show and having a good time and feeling safe, feeling seen, feeling heard. All of that stuff I feel like is encapsulated in what we wanted to do with this record. I think it's something where all of us as teenagers, I think we would have all really loved for this band to have been around then. I think we're kind of all doing it for our 16-year-old selves in a lot of ways. But I think we have a lot of fun together, and I think that comes through on a track like Hot. But then we're also very vulnerable with each other, and I think you've got a song like Leech where, you know, wall to wall on the album, it's a real mix of politics and also just having a really good time. And I think, yeah, like bands like Le Tigre, they've always been an inspiration to us, and we're kind of carrying that through somehow.
Now, other tracks in the album talk about the idea of body image, sexual objectification, sort of women's roles in society, especially on the song Social Lubrication, where we have lyrics such as, be attractive but don't bank on it. Have you ever felt pressure to kind of fit into a certain box or conform to anything in the music industry?
I think when you're kind of existing as any marginalized gender within like society at large, but like specifically like when like in music, in a very public facing role, there are expectations and there are pressures, and there's a huge thing in us kind of presenting as a united front and creating the space for all of us to exist in our like multitudes and our complexities, and that kind of carving out that space and like modeling it physically in our bodies is something that's been really central to what we've been trying to do with this band, with this record.
Now, as I mentioned before as well, you're playing at Pitchfork Festival in Paris, and it's the 12th edition of the festival, and it's the third year in a row where the festival will take place in multiple venues across the French capital, with over 70 performers, and that's including a singer-songwriter, Wise Blood, and the DJ and producer, The Blessed Madonna. Now, Dream Wife, what can people expect from your live show?
I'm so excited for this show in particular.
Yeah.
This festival lineup is amazing. I know. And the fact that it's in these iconic venues too. Tonight we're playing with, before us is a band called Ben Stiller and Pillow Queens. Full from our show.
Yeah, an amazing lineup. It's gonna be really sweaty, I think. Really high octane, and a side-splitting good time.
Good, clean fun.
Yeah.
Bring a towel.
Bring a
Good,
towel.
clean, but also slightly dirty.
Slightly sweaty fun, yeah. Thank you for warning people, that's good. Okay, so no knitwear or anything. So
Please don't wear knitwear.
no knitwear.
I mean, if that's your thing.
If that's your thing, sure.
Yeah,
but
if soggy knitwear is your thing.
you might regret wearing the knitwear. So, well, this next artist is also performing at Pitchfork Music Festival and has just dropped her sophomore album, Sweet Justice. Now, Australian Zimbabwean singer and rapper Takai Maidza has called his record a diary of the highs and lows of the last 2 years of her life. That's from toxic friendships to music industry politics. Now, Sweet Justice blends her trademark R&B and hip hop with disco and a little bit of UK garage. Let's take a listen to Ring-a-Ling.
We don't waste no time. Point and shoot and fly. It's a new day, no grind. Can't nobody play on my line. Ding-a-ling, ding-ling, ding-a-ling. Someone said the money go ding-a-ling. By any means I'm getting more ding-a-ling. Tryna hop into a whole ding-a-ling, ding-ding. Ding-a-ling, ding-ling, ding-a-ling. Someone said the money go ding-a-ling. Someone said the money goes ding-a-ling. Drop down, it's giving love ding-a-ling. I'm 24/7 running.
Okay, well, Dream Wife, you warned us before what to expect from your gigs, but I want to ask you about the mosh pit situation at your shows. Tell us more.
It's quite a situation.
It's a situation. I mean, like kind of halfway through the show, we'd like to do a thing where we reshuffle the crowd. So maybe it's inviting people further at the back to come forward. Really like to encourage people to look at each other and acknowledge the space that they're sharing. And I think by getting really like deliberate with the way in which we're taking up space and the way in which we're relating to each other's bodies in the gig environment, it can like really help to foster this feeling of safety and connection. And like Raquel kind of puts it to everyone, like, are you feeling safe? Are you feeling comfortable? And yeah, it's really important, this shared relationship that we all have in these kind of fairly intimate spaces, to how we look after each other and how we hold each other.
Well, that's
bring them
good.
to the front as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Same with us. Like when we were going to our first rock shows, as young teenagers, you didn't really have access to go to the front. You didn't necessarily feel safe to go to the front. So I think it's about inviting people, letting them know that we are building a community around them. I mean, there's no such thing as a safe space, but at least there's a way to acknowledge that this is a shared space. And how can we somehow create that within a space of a show, a live show?
Yeah. So we're coming to the end of the show, and I want to thank Dream Wife for coming on our show today. And a reminder that you're playing at Pitchfork Festival this week, and you're also going to be heading out on tour around Europe. And also check out their album Social Lubrication. Now, finishing with music from British singer and producer Pink Pantheress. She has over 23 million monthly listeners on Spotify and reached #3 on the Billboard music chart with Ice Spice collaboration Boy's a Liar. Now, all of this before even releasing her debut album, Heaven Knows. Now, Heaven Knows showcases her Y2K hyperpop sound, and we'll give you a little taste of it with the song Capable of Love. Now, for more arts and culture, head to our website and stay in touch on social media. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
And I think I need a picture 'cause it's never enough to see you smiling in my mind when I lay still in the dark. It starts with